Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. Mark again here at Weatherman. Plus, happy Mother's Day to all my moms out there and all the single dads out there as well. Hope you have a very great day today. Now, we do have severe weather for today. This is a very small chance for tornadoes. This is going to be a pretty big event for damage and winds for today coming across for Texas and chances for hail. But we also have this big heat dome that's going to move through as we go later into this week, into this weekend right across the lower 48. So as we go through the first half of this week, we still have this big heat dome on the west coast that's coming across for the central plains, but it will stay cooler around the Great Lakes going out through the northeast as this cool front is moving through, plus another storm system that's going to move through for Tuesday into Wednesday, bringing in below average temperatures. But once we go into this weekend, into next week, this is where the heat dome is going to be on the move. So for those that like the colder weather, it's about to go bye-bye. For those that's been waiting for the heat, it is coming. This is bringing the 80s, even the 90s back. But it's not going to stop there. It's going to affect our drought as well. So you can see where our drought stands for right now. We have a lot of drought over here from Texas towards Florida, all the way towards Virginia, even towards Maryland. Even on the central and western side, we have a lot of drought still for the U.S., everybody. And we hardly have any rainfall coming for the next 7 days. Now, after the next 7 days, we're going to see a weather pattern change, and it could bring some storms, but that is still a 50-50, everybody. That is not a definite thing. In fact, when you look at the latest information from Zing Chart, you can see that we just went through our worst drought for April in recorded history, all the way back towards 1895. This one was our worst for April. You can see that we're going to get about an inch of rainfall over here for Texas going into Oklahoma. We're going to get about an inch of rainfall along the Gulf Coast and along the southeast and along eastern Florida, which I know Florida will welcome this rainfall with open arms. But that's all we're getting for the next 7 days. That storm coming in from Tuesday into Wednesday might bring a half an inch from the Great Lakes out through the northeast. Not much. And you can see how barren and empty all this is over here on the western U.S. Also, when you check your latest information on the Arctic oscillation, this one is by the European. You can see after we go through this big week of heat going through, that we do have colder air that's going to come through as we go through for next weekend and beyond. Now, this is just going to touch down a little bit along the west coast and the northern half of the lower 48. Matter of fact, when you try and compare this with the GFS shows a quick punch of cold air, then a warm anomaly coming right back again. Now, we do have storms for today. You can see this with your vorticity rotation atmosphere all the way to later tonight into tomorrow going along the Gulf Coast and a little bit for the southeast. Not a big threat. Then you can see that we get the storm system coming around while we get this big high pressure rolling all this heat on the west. We get a storm system coming through for Tuesday, bringing some storms across the Great Lakes, pretty mild storms, and out through the northeast for Wednesday morning, where it actually could pick up in intensity, where it could bring you more rainfall and more storms for the northeast. Then you're going to see this big dome of heat that's going to move all the way across the central U.S. and move all the way across the eastern U.S. Now, as far as the severe weather, that's still 6 or 7 days away on whether or not we're going into an active pattern. Now, this is going literally past 6 and 7 days, and that always changes, so I will keep you updated. Now, the latest on the Euro shows as we go through for Tuesday into Wednesday, we could see a little bit of storms brewing. We might get some frontal storms moving through from Missouri as we go through for Tuesday evening, overnight for Wednesday morning. Not showing a great intensity, but that's where the strongest severe weather is on this cycle. Then you can see as it goes out through Thursday through the northeast, we could get some winds. This high pressure and this low pressure squeezing together will give you tight isobars, which signifies a lot of winds coming through for the northeast as you go through for Wednesday. And then you can see as you go all the way towards this weekend for Friday and Friday evening, we might start getting some storms coming across for the north central across the Midwest, and that's going into Canada by Saturday evening as well. Now, if we go further ahead and go all the way towards 8 days past 8 days, we might have some storms brewing across the Central Plains. Everybody, that is still too far to know for sure. Remember, once you go 6 or 7 days, this always dramatically changes and it always shows you a dramatic storm. In fact, when you try and compare it, when you go by the GFS, you see a storm system coming across the Great Lakes for Tuesday out through the Northeast is pretty mild. The only thing they can agree on is that we do have the high pressure and the low pressure squeezing together, creating some winds over here for the Northeast as we go through for Wednesday. Then that storm system that brews up for the weekend, look what GFS does with it. It don't bring anything except maybe across the north central and something across the Great Lakes by the time we go towards Sunday. And you can see for the next 6 days, which the Euro showing a better opportunity of getting heavier rainfall for those storms on Wednesday. Coming across the Northeast, all that yellow is an inch. That red for New Hampshire is somewhere around 2 inches, if that actually verifies. But this is the next 6 days of rainfall coming across for the U.S. Now, maybe in 6 days, we might start seeing a weather pattern kicking in across the north central, the Midwest, where you might get a little bit of rainfall coming for y'all. That storm system could easily go further into Canada. It's still 6 days away. And then maybe 7 or 8 days away, start seeing a rainy weather pattern coming through. Remember, this is still 8 days away. But we do have the severe weather for today and for tomorrow, and I will go through that. Then I want to update you on your temperatures. Now, yesterday we did get 3 tornado reports for severe weather yesterday for North Carolina. And for today, you can see you have the big enhanced feature. This is not for tornadoes, everybody. There's not a lot of strong winds aloft. The tornado threat is very weak. As soon as this front gets together, there's a small chance you can get a quick spin up, and then it's going to go away just as quickly. But so far in Texas, here's your cities at risk for a potential tornado for today. Your threat is going to be for the winds. I'm showing up to 80, maybe even 90 miles per hour wind gusts. So right here where you have the significant severe, you could have chances for 70 miles per hour wind gusts. And in this red 30%, you could get up to 80 miles per hour wind gusts or higher. So here's your cities and states at risk for the damage and wind threat for today. And your hail threat as well. You have significant severe in this black hatched area for today. Chances for 2 inches in diameter of hailstones. And this 30%, you could have greater than 2 inches. So here's your cities and states at risk for the possibility of hail for today. In fact, you can see as these storms build up for today, you do get some storms moving across for New England. It's going to be very quick, very minor. But you can see for Texas, you get some straight line winds that starts building up for northern Texas as you go by 6 p.m. As you go by 7, you might start getting some discrete cells in front of it. This is where you have that potential tornado threat, but it is low in threat. If anything, this will be chances for large hail with that, while you're getting the damage and winds moving right behind that as you go through the evening. Then once you go into 10, 11 o'clock, then it turns into that linear event of damage and winds that's moving through the rest of Texas all the way into the early morning hours. And then for tomorrow morning through southern Texas going into the Gulf. And this might build up, maybe even see some water spouts for tomorrow as this builds up right off the coast for Louisiana and then goes towards the southeast for tomorrow. Not showing a big threat for tornadoes for tomorrow neither. Showing it could bring that 50, that 60, that 70, maybe even that 80 miles per hour wind gusts. All that white right there is going 80 to 90 miles per hour wind gusts. The highest is showing over 100, but you always tone it down just a little bit. But it's showing as these storms move through for later on tonight, it's going to bring all these strong winds with it as well. So just be aware of it. If you have anything in your yard that could be a potential projectile, just make sure you pick it up. And you can see for tomorrow, the chance for thunderstorms, even your tornado threat, you have a small threat right along the coast. So here's your cities and states at risk for a possible quick spin up for tomorrow. So here's your outlook for the winds for tomorrow. It is a marginal. So here's your cities and states at risk for possible low winds for tomorrow. But this heat dome that we have moving through is going to bring a lot more warmer temperatures than what y'all been dealing with. Some of y'all been waiting for this. Some of y'all have been dreading for this. So for the next 6 to 10 days, all the way towards the 19th, a big above average anomaly is moving through. This is by Climate Prediction Center. And you can see all the way for the 2 weeks, this is going to shift all the way across the U.S. In fact, when you look at your 925 millibar level, this is about 2,500 feet in the atmosphere. You can see all these warmer temperatures that's kicking along Mexico and the western U.S. This is going to bring over 100, 105, maybe even 110 degree temperatures. And this is going to shift as we go through the later part of this week. After you get that storm coming through and the rest of that cool front, the storm is going to bring cooler temperatures as well. Then this is going to shift as you go from Wednesday. Look how it goes all the way into Canada, everybody. Thursday, it goes further across the central U.S. For Friday and Saturday, this is where it starts stretching further towards the east, bringing those warmer temperatures for Sunday and Monday. Now, maybe about 8 or 9 days away, we can talk about another cold front coming through. But once again, that is 8 or 9 days away. I'm still showing we have a lot of heat that is on the way. And you can see the latest information here. So for today, for your highs, you're going to stay rather cooler. This is cool temperatures compared to what's coming around the corner. And you can see all those 80s along the south, even the 90s building up, and over 100, 105 degrees, closer towards 110, moving across the southwest. Now for tomorrow, you're going to have the cooler temperatures coming through again, even bring a little bit cooler of a wind chill across the Midwest and the Great Lakes. Enjoy this, because this is where the cool air is going to start leaving. So for tomorrow, for your highs, you're going to have the 80s going all the way up towards North Dakota, the 70s all the way into Canada. You still have the 90s and the 100s and over 100 over the southwest, and it's going to start building through the week. So here we go for Tuesday's temperatures. Wednesday's temperatures, now the 80s coming back all the way into Canada for Wednesday. Thursday, now we're looking at the 90s reaching all the way towards South Dakota. Friday, now the 90s are spreading. Now look at Friday compared to the GFS, and GFS is showing a hotter anomaly where you could have over 100, over 105 degrees start spreading all the way from Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Now as you go from Friday into Saturday, now we're starting to build not only over 100, we're getting the 80s moving up. Sunday, now we're starting to get those 90s coming through. Monday, here it comes again, more 90s starting to spread. And Tuesday, just a big heat dome moving in. So get ready for warmer temperatures, everybody, because the warmer temperatures are on the way. Thank you again for your time. I hope you have a very great day today. And I'd like to say thank you to Sherry in Florida that's been supporting me for multiple years. Thank you so much for your support, Sherry. Now, before I go, a quick word from our Father, everybody. Matthew 24, 7 through 14. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. Amen. And that was Jesus speaking. Have a great day, everybody. I hope y'all getting y'all going on your crops, because we have a big warm anomaly moving through. I don't see a colder anomaly pushing through, at least for the central to the eastern United States. The western U.S. might get colder as we go a little bit later in May for a little bit. I will keep you updated. But remember, above all things, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. Be careful if you're in Texas.